I just finished filming the tutorial on how to do this look, and my love for cool toned makeup eyeshadow palettes just keeps on growing. Like, look at this. So that kind of inspired me to show you my top favorite cool tone eyeshadow palettes. I guess I'll start from my higher end and I'll go on to my lower end and have my cheapest palette at the end. Okay, so one thing about me is I like to do everything on a budget if I can, but if it's worth the splurge or it's gonna give me that feeling of luxe, I will splurge like that. So I feel like that'll reflect in my pickings today. So the first one that I have is literally what I've been circling around these last few days, is the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes Moonlight palette. Because look at this. This is the eyeshadow palette I used for my makeup here. Look at that. So stunning. And I feel like this is unique because I tried to look for a dupe for this and it just does not exist because of these glitters. These glitters, it's not even shimmers, sorry. I don't even know what they are. Either one. These are more of like a wet sheen type of look. These are more of a topper. Like you have to have an eyeshadow underneath it and use this. It's almost like fairy dust for your eyes, because look at this. Okay, I'll even go ahead and swatch this one. This is the one I have on my lids, but it's technically the darkest. Look at that. Is that focused? Okay, I'll just like, okay, it's focused on me, isn't it? There we go. So beautiful. It's like the wet type of look. It's like a seductive eyeshadow, if that even makes sense. Am I turned on by my eyeshadow palette? Okay, and then the mattes do have a little bit of a fallout, but just go in with a light hand, tap the excess off, and they blend beautifully, but you need to kind of set your lid to make sure it's not too greasy, otherwise it will kind of look patchy. But if you do your base right, absolutely beautiful, stunning palette. Literally my favorite right now. Next palette I have is from Bobbi Brown, and I am a lover of Bobbi Brown cosmetics. This is the Smoke and Metals eyeshadow palette. I don't know when I got this, I don't know where I got this, but it got a good little bit of use. It's like holographic in it, but this is the color story that we're looking at. It has a good bit of shadows. Like this one I would literally wear all over my lid. Even focus. I would wear this one all over my lid and just smoke it out and put this in my crease, and it would just work absolutely beautifully. This doesn't get patchy at all, whether you set your base or not, but I do anyways. And yeah, I love the fact, like when they come with mirrors. I feel like palettes without mirrors, it's really hard to work with. I have to, like, another reason why I love this one, I don't know if it costs more to add a mirror. I mean, I guess it would have, but yeah. And then the mattes blend beautifully as well on this one. I have a lot of memories with this in my last workplace because I had to dress up and go to a lot of events, and this was just my go-to because it's smaller and I could easily pack this in my purse. Okay, the next palette I have is a Sephora palette. This is the Playlist Metal Rebel palette. I do believe you can still get this at Sephora, and it's like the perfect starter cool tone eyeshadow palette. You have a perfect brow bone color, 3 shimmers, right? Yeah, 3 shimmers and 3 mattes. All blend absolutely beautifully, and these go well with one another, so it's really easy to create makeup looks with this. And this is Sephora's brand, so it's affordable, and if they have sales, these always have a really big discount. And I always love palettes when they have a good brow bone color, because I mean, I just like putting a nice light color on my brow bone. And I love it when they include a big chunk of it, because I honestly will use this all over my eyelid before dipping into the other colors. And it just gives a seamless blend as well. Okay, now I'm gonna shift over to more of the Ulta and drugstore brand products. And I'll grab this one. This is the Morphe palette. I actually recently got this. This is Morphe's Lunarious palette. No mirror I think from here and on. So we got this. It has like the more usable shadows, like this is a good brow color. Yeah, this is a good brow color, so I do appreciate that being larger. And then these other ones are beautiful as well. I haven't tested out this as much, but thus far this is very comparable to pretty much the Sephora palette. Like it blends well, but it doesn't have as much pigmentation as the Makeup by Mario and the Sephora palette. So you might have to build up with this, but still a really great palette and very versatile colors. It's nothing absolutely crazy. Like you don't have random like gray tones that are a little harder to work with. So, and you get a lot of black too. So this is, if you want to use this as a liner, that works as well. Okay, now one of my favorite brands for eyeshadow palettes is Colourpop. The amount of color stories they have and the combinations they have, they really do a good job. And I have 3 of their palettes in this video. So I have the Colourpop, that's Taupe. This one isn't as cool toned, it's more neutral in my opinion, but you have 4 shimmers, these 3. These are almost like a foily type of shimmer. I dip into this one a lot. And then the mattes are really pigmented and they blend well if you set with a powder. Like this with like a greasier or like stickier lid might not blend as well, but all beautiful colors. There's a lot of good like transition shade options here, and the shimmers blend really well. Like the Makeup by Mario palette, it's more of like a topper and it'll kind of sit in place. It won't really blend, but these blend beautifully. All right, the next Colourpop palette I have is of Quartz. And this one is a cool tone palette. You got the grays here, you got like a black. Overall, a really good basic cool tone palette. And you have, again, the shimmers blend really well and really nice transition shades like these. And this one is like this one is a gray tone, but it's not like too gray where it's harder to work with because it's that cool toned. It almost is like a taupey gray. So it is a little bit more of a beginner friendly type of gray. And this shade, like if you want to do like a flat, like you want the gray tones in your eyeshadow, this is a perfect palette because of this one shade right here. And then of course, like this will top beautifully right on top of it. And then you can make it as dark as or light as you need. Okay, this has to be my favorite Colourpop palette overall, but it's so big, it doesn't get as much use as I'd like. But this is a Stone Cold Fox palette. I mean, look at it. This is straight up a cool tone palette. The variety you get is insane. This is a very popular palette and it's for a good reason. It's just so big. This doesn't travel well with me. Like I always grab these palettes instead of this one, but still beautiful. All the mattes blend well, shimmers, as Colourpop usually does. So really good pigmentation, especially with the cooler tone palettes with Colourpop. I honestly don't know if a lot of these shades are similar to some in here. I could imagine maybe, but if you have this palette from Colourpop and you just want to do like cool neutral looks, you really don't need to grab these ones unless you want more travel friendly palettes. Like this is pretty much the ultimate cool tone neutral palette from Colourpop. It's just kind of big. Okay, now for my most affordable palettes, and they're from the brand e.l.f. e.l.f. and me, we go way back. Remember when the brushes were $1? Oh, good times. Okay, this is the New Classics eyeshadow palette. It's, when you first look at it, it doesn't scream cool tone, but the tones are very cool tone overall. I mean, you have a couple oranges, but that's more of just them putting a couple options in. Like this looks warmer, but really it's, well, no, this is a warmer color, but this one, oops. This palette's absolutely beautiful, and you get a couple of different shades that typically aren't included in cool tone products. Like this gold shadow, and you have like this really pretty, like, what is this called? It's called platinum. I don't know if I would call it that. It's more of like a greenish champagne shade. It looks absolutely beautiful at the center of the lid. Oh, I'll have to pull this out because this I traveled with all the time, and it's just such a versatile palette. And you get a really good bit of shades. I'm making a little bit of a dent here on this one, but yeah, this is the New Classics eyeshadow palette. Oh, they have like a little tutorial thing on the back, but I've never used it. Okay, and I think this one was my first like smoky eyeshadow palette. I've realized at a young age I really wanted to do like a smoky eye. And this is the e.l.f. Everyday Smoky palette. It looks like that. It's a good, it almost reminds me of the Naked palette, almost. But these shades are really pigmented, especially like these grays and browns here. The shimmers are, you have to kind of build up a little bit. Like you're not gonna get Colourpop level of shimmer application, but these are still really good. Just kind of build it up a little bit. And then I don't really use like the lighter shades as much here. I use like from here and up. These are very usable. This is also a great like first time cool tone eyeshadow palette. Yeah, but honestly I think Colourpop's, like if I had to recommend an affordable palette for someone that wants to try cooler tone eyeshadow, I would recommend Quartz. It just has more versatile colors. Like if you're not too sure, that's the one to try. But this one's also good too, but because this is a more like intense gray, and same thing, like these are all really, really cool toned, this might be not as like beginner friendly, but still a great palette. Okay, now for the cheapest palette, coming in $3, these e.l.f. bite-size eyeshadow palettes. This is in Truffles. Okay, this is a fantastic palette. You have like a platinum color type, like it's almost like a gray shimmer, and then a nice blendable transition shade, something to deepen it with, and something to line your eyes with. Like it's a very simple palette, like you can really make this work, but I would recommend something closer to your skin tone for a transition shade. So you could just use like a setting powder or like your foundation powder to kind of do that. But this, you could do a full look with this, and it's a beautiful like neutral tone palette, but because of this shimmer, it makes it cool tone in my books. And then at $3, you really can't go wrong with it, especially because this is so pigmented. Oh my gosh. And it's tiny. This travels so well. And even if you wanted to take like another palette like that say doesn't have a black like this, honestly, I literally just take this sometimes just because of the black. It's very pigmented. It works really well. All right. These are the palettes I had chosen for this video, and I hope this kind of gave some insights to a couple different options from different price ranges. But I love all these palettes. They all get used, and I just wanted to share with the world my favorite cool tone palettes, because sometimes you just gotta get things on a budget. But if you're willing to splurge, I absolutely recommend this and the Sephora one. These have to be my top two. These like are just my more used ones, so I highly recommend these, but all of these are fantastic options. So let me know if you have any of these palettes, what your thoughts are, if you agree with me, if you don't, or if you want to try any of these out, or if you see any I should try. So just let me know, and thank you for watching my video. Lots of love.